Ian Cutelaba's opponent this week is Devin Clark. Ian Cutelaba is coming at 15-6 and 1 in the light heavyweight division, which is 205, coming at 6'1 and a 75-inch reach. He's coming off a draw and 2 losses. His opponent is Devin Clark, the Brown Bear, coming at 12-5. He's coming off a loss versus Anthony Smith, where he got triangle choked. Also in the lightweight or light heavyweight division, coming at 6 foot and a 75-inch reach. So these guys' stats are very comparable. I mean, I think this is going to be a good one. Zach?
Yeah, I think this is a perfect fight to lead us in to our main event, because this past summer, Anthony Smith was supposed to fight Ian Cutelaba. Cutelaba had to back out last minute. Devin Clark stepped in and took the fight. So both of these guys have connections to Anthony Smith. Both of these guys can wrestle. Looking at it from a technical perspective, both of their wrestling is pretty fucking solid. Ian Cutelaba, to me, is, I mean, he looks swollen, to say the least. He's jacked, and that contributes, I think, a lot to the fact that he throws his punches with a lot of heat, a lot of power behind all of his punches. And his wrestling, the only thing I can think to describe it with, the only word I can use is powerful. When he goes in for a takedown, he's not one of those guys that'll pull off and back out of that takedown attempt if he doesn't think he's going to get it. He's going to drive and reposition and do whatever he can to get the guy on the ground after he shoots. Do I think he's going to have a little bit of a harder problem doing that against Devin Clark? I do. But I don't think that gives me enough to solidify Devin Clark winning. I think I'm going to go with Cutelaba here because the striking just looks a little bit better. The striking just looks a little bit more crisp and more technical than what we see on the other side. I think if Devin Clark's going to win this fight, he's going to have to get it to the ground. You know, I think that can be said about a lot of his fights. And I just think he's going to have a hard time doing it. I think on the feet, he looks a little bit more, not confused, but out of place. I think his striking is a little bit more awkward than would be expected of a pretty highly respected light heavyweight. So I think looking at results, while Cutelaba's gas tank can be a little bit questionable at times, I think this is going to be the fight for him to get it done and make a statement with a pretty nice KO to put on his record.
All right. This is what I think. I'm not picking anybody to win this fight. I'm going to give you folks 2 options. And these are the only 2 options that are going to happen. Like he said, I think Ian Cutelaba is an extremely powerful athlete in every facet of those 2 words. I think he is probably one of the most explosive athletes in the 205 division, especially since John Jones isn't there now. I think he's up there with maybe Yuri Prochazka as probably the most explosive 205 pounder in the world right now. But it comes at a cost. He gasses out almost without a doubt every time after the first round. I think that if he gets it done, he's getting done in the first round. He's only gone to decision and won once in this few years in the UFC. Only one time has won a decision, and it was only been to decision twice out of like 6 or 7 fights in the UFC. So that really worries me. He gets it done, he's going to get it done versus TKO, where he knocks somebody out or gets ground and pound somebody.
No, I think it's interesting to note too that Cutelaba is a very experienced Sambo fighter as well. You and I still, I don't think, are very sure about what Sambo means, but we know the guys that have Sambo backgrounds tend to be successful. So even if that's the only little trick that you want to use to pick here, I don't think it's a bad element to predict based off of. But I agree. I'm not saying that I don't think Cutelaba can get this one done outside of one against Devin Clark, but I do lean myself personally towards a first round knockout here.
Yeah, I think my second leg of what I was saying was Devin Clark has fought a fighter that's very similar in in style and stature to Ion Cutelaba. Let me go back. Who did he fight? He won Alonzo Minifield. Alonzo Minifield almost built exactly the same big, stocky, very powerful, explosive athlete in the 205-pound division, is notorious for gassing out. And he's got, I don't think he, before his fight with Devin Clark, went past 2 rounds. He got everything done within inside a round. And although he weathered a terrific storm by Minifield, in that where he was getting beat on and somehow survived and came out with that with the wrestling at the end and just piecing him up. I'm not saying that his cardio is excellent or out of this world, but he can definitely outlast Ion Cutelaba. So I mean, I think you hedge your bets here. We're going to get into the odds here, but I think there's definitely 2 plays to be made on this one fight in particular.
It's just funny because Devin Clark was one of the top, I believe, junior college wrestlers in the NCAA when he was in college. So I think it's almost the classic matchup of the American wrestler versus the European Sambo artist.
Eastern European.
Oh, excuse me.
All right. We have Devin Clark coming at plus 125 underdog and Ion Cutelaba at the minus 140 favorite. So, I mean, you go, in my opinion, this is what you do. Take Ion Cutelaba minus 140 money line, pair that up with under 1.5 rounds plus 120. That gives you not good, but or not great, but good odds, in my opinion. And then take Devin Clark plus 125. Where is it? I don't know if you get the TKO, but I'd say over 2.5. I'm not seeing over 2.5 here, but who knows what that goes, right?
I was about to say, if you want to look at over 2.5, fight starts round 3 at minus 110 is pretty good odds. But the way that I see this is I favor Cutelaba a little bit higher than minus 140. So, Gage didn't make a pick here. So I wouldn't say that anything is safe, but I think the safe bet in this case would be to just take the Cutelaba money line. Looking at these props, though, under 1.5 at plus 120, like Gage pointed out, is pretty significant. That's a pretty solid odd.
I'd say that's a must, right? If you're going to take money line Cutelaba, that's a must, right? That's almost big balls in Cowtown, in my opinion.
I would say so. I think the Cutelaba plus 115 for a TKO or KO is pretty decent odds. And then what is it? Cutelaba wins in round 1 at plus 175. I think that's the highest plus money you can find with value, unless you're looking for something to hedge Clark on. I don't know. I wouldn't hold. If you want to shoot a piss missile in the dark, Clark wins by submission at plus 1,200. I wouldn't say that I'm confident it's going to happen, but any Saturday, anything is possible. So I wouldn't say that it's out of the question either, because he's a pretty good submission artist. He's pretty good on the ground. I just think he's going to have a hard time getting the fight there.
Yeah, I'm not saying I think Clark can end it after probably a round and a half if it gets there. I think that Cutelaba is going to gas out, like I said already before. But I think if Cutelaba wins this, he's not winning decision. He's winning inside a round and a half, in my opinion. And I think a lot of people see it that way too.
I most certainly see it that way. So at least somebody will agree with you.